Welcome back to Queerly Thinking. I am your host, Reese Wheatley, and I am sitting here with a 16-year-old high school student here in Kentucky, Ray Loux, and he goes by he, they, so both. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good, just hanging out. We've been talking a lot beforehand, so both of us have just been chatting a little bit, also with our producer. So tell me where you're from and how your early life started out.
Oh, early life. Okay. I'm from Lexington, but I was born in California, moved away when I was 2 to Texas. Okay, this is crazy.
Go for it.
Way too complicated. And then I moved here when I was 8, and I've lived here since, and I've connected more with Kentucky than any other place that I've lived, and so it's really confusing to feel like, oh, this place is home, but also all this stuff is going on, and it's really scary.
Yeah. With all of that going on, before we get into all of it
Okay.
going on,
Okay.
what do you feel makes you feel so connected to Kentucky? Is it the connections in your life? Is it your education?
Well, it's definitely my friends are a big part of it, because we're all really here for each other and we understand what we're going through, and it's really nice to have, like, I don't have any friends in where my dad lives, and so it's hard to go out there and spend all summer out there sometimes. And the other thing that I really love about Kentucky is its like natural beauty. I love the Red River Gorge. I love to go hiking.
Oh, it's so pretty there.
I know. It's gorgeous. And like we went like mushroom hunting a few times recently. Obviously we didn't find anything, but it was still really fun. And I really love this state.
That's awesome. I love this state most of the time too.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. I love that you connect with it so well. And I do want to say, for the record, I forgot to say this at the beginning, that we do have Ray's mom's permission for him to be here talking with me.
Yes.
Since you are under the age of 18, we needed that. And your mom's been so supportive. Your mom is so sweet.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's been really awesome about letting me like go to Frankfurt when I need to, and drive myself places and do like be independent, and I think that has done so much for my mental health, especially
Yeah.
like my driver's license is amazing.
You're making good use of it.
I know.
Thank you, State of
Good
Kentucky,
use,
for at
yeah.
least that. At least a driver's license that can get you around. So I'm so happy that you have such a supportive mom. And do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a younger sibling who is 11 this year, and
Fun.
they are incredible. We went and saw a movie last night, and it was really fun.
What'd you all see?
The new D&D movie, the
That's good, yeah.
Honor Among Thieves, and they were obsessed with it. They love D&D. Play it every Thursday with their friends. And so it was really nice to.
Yeah. Is most of your family in the community, or
Yes.
in or involved in the community?
Yeah, definitely. Especially on my mom's side. Basically everybody's a little bit. But my grandfather on my mom's side has a husband that he's been
wow.
married to for years, and then
Good for him.
it's really nice to like it was really nice to be able to come out and know that, okay, my family already has my back at least somehow.
Yes. Yes.
And know that they're supportive of me. And
That's amazing. When did you come out?
I came out in 2018, 2019. I don't entirely remember, before COVID.
Oh my gosh.
And then
How old were you when you came out?
I was 12, I think. And
And you came out as
I came out as non-binary.
as non-binary. Okay.
And then as I like got more comfortable like with my gender identity and getting to explore that, I realized, oh, I'm actually trans, or
Yeah.
whatever the label that I want to use is. And I haven't looked back since. I've been really grateful to have the support and everything.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that your family's involved too. I know that
Really
I've
appreciate
seen you and your mom in Frankfurt, mostly you in Frankfurt, pictures of you in Frankfurt in those galleries. And so in being in Frankfurt, has your experience been like, or what was your experience like in Frankfurt originally?
It was really scary. I went up there for the first time completely on my own, not knowing anyone or what I would experience when I got up there, and I went into the Capitol and went to, I think it was during committee meetings, and so I went into the wrong committee room the first time. And I sat through a nice session of education committee discussing nothing relevant at all, while in the committee room over there they were
I've done that before in
discussing
Frankfurt.
a different bill. And so that was a little bit intimidating, but I found the right room for the next committee meeting, and it was actually so full that I had to stand outside the room as they were
my
talking,
gosh.
and they weren't letting, they were like, okay, if one person leaves, then you can go in. And towards the end of the meeting, someone left, and so I got to go in at the end of it. But it was crazy. Like the legislators were sitting up there playing on their phones while people were giving like these really emotional, heartfelt
The testimony.
testimonies, and they are like backing up in the corner, like not wanting to be there, not making eye contact,
Yep.
like really feeling like, oh, they think they're better than us just because they're so that was a little frustrating.
Yeah.
But I really was glad I went up there because I had the experience to meet some really nice people. And there's a few people who have been up there fighting for us and talking with all the legislators.
Yeah.
And I basically, my strategy was I walked up to someone and said, hey, can I follow you around? And he
That's a
said
good
yes.
strategy to have in
And so
Frankfurt.
I followed people around.
Yeah.
And I shadowed, and I went up there like every day that week, and then some after that, and became a lot more comfortable going in there. But
That's
it
amazing.
was still like I did not have the guts to interact with any legislators.
That's okay. Yeah.
But I am gonna be prepared to next time.
Good. That's so encouraging and empowering to hear as someone that was watching from the outside, because at first it's like they had these bills on the table and then they were like, okay, we're not going to talk about this and we're just going to drop it. And then at the last second they throw in this Senate Bill
Yeah.
150. And tell me a little bit about the beginning experience when, I don't know when they originally introduced that back in, but I know it wasn't too long before the session was supposed to end.
All right, so it's kind of weird. They made it as confusing as possible.
Always.
So the night before Wednesday, the Senate had discussed House Bill 470, which was the big omnibus one, and the Carroll Amendment basically neutralized a lot of it, where hormones would still be banned for transgender youth, and a lot of the bad parts were taken out, but puberty blockers were allowed, and it was much like of a tamer version. But they passed that amendment, and then the next morning, they take this other bill that was on a completely different topic. I don't remember what Senate Bill 150 was originally on, and they shoved the language of 470 into that. Give like 10 minutes notice with the mics off in the House during lunch meeting, or I don't know.
Yeah, when they took
And
lunch.
everybody, they don't tell any Democrats. They don't tell any, like, they got tipped off 10 minutes before the meeting was starting. People were running across the Capitol, out the Capitol building and into the Annex building and down to the basement to go join this committee meeting. People were like,
Gosh.
a legislator showed up at the door, and they were trying to turn her away, and she got in just barely.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so underhanded, and like people were literally running. And the funny thing is they have a supermajority. They have a supermajority in both the House and the Senate. Like there's 80 Republican representatives and 20 Democrats, and they still felt the need to go completely under the table with this bill. And that really says something about what the bill is.
As Fairness Campaign Director Chris Hartman said, a slate of hate
Yeah.
during his many testimonies that we saw, very passionate testimonies at that, and very moving also. But so the day that I originally saw you was the day of the rally, which I believe was March 29th or March 28th.
Yes, March 29th.
March 29th. What was that day like for you? What was your experience like during that rally that was ran by high schoolers?
Well, I drove to the Capitol that morning, and I was one of the first people to show up, like as they were setting up everything. So I got to help bring stuff out from the cars.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then I hadn't signed up to speak at the rally because I didn't really know what I wanted to say, or if I had like more important things to say than some of the other people. I was really, really impressed with a lot of the speakers, one of which at least I knew personally, and he did amazing.
Oh, wow.
But I took the mic after they had left because they had to leave all of a sudden, or at the end to get back to school so they wouldn't be marked late.
Right, I remember that being in the Facebook
So
group on the event.
yeah, I spoke briefly, and then
I think I was there when you spoke. I
maybe?
can't remember if I had already gone in the building with
Yes,
Jerry Hahn or not.
I don't know.
I can't remember, but there were a bunch of kids that grabbed the mic after, like, a lot of people left.
Yes.
So they weren't marked absent. So they left, and then there were a bunch of people that were very passionately speaking. And so we stopped for a second before we went into the actual Capitol.
Then you probably heard me.
Okay. I probably just had
And
no idea
then
who you were.
my younger sibling also spoke, and
Right,
they
okay.
did an incredible job. Like they had written their speech on my mom's phone like 10 minutes in advance, and then they got up there and they just read it, and they were so proud about it, and oh my god, they did so
Oh
much
my
better than I
gosh.
did.
That's okay.
I'm so proud of them for doing that, and completely their own words and
That's
everything.
impressive.
They're much more of a public speaker than I am, but
That's okay. Sometimes it's natural for some people, and other people, it just takes an adjustment. But
yeah.
that's amazing. I'm sorry that I didn't know who you were at the time,
Oh, that's fine.
but I was impressed by everyone that was speaking because it was hard for me to public speak at the age of 18 in high school. So I could not imagine being younger than that, having to get up in front of so many people that are of importance and that are signing stuff into law that is actively against you as a human. So if you feel comfortable, did you go in? You went in the building.
I did.
And you were there while it was passed.
Yes.
What was that like for you? Were you in the gallery at the time?
I think I was in the gallery. I'm trying to remember.
Because I remember seeing pictures
Yeah.
from
I was
the
in the,
Herald Leader of you and Emma Curtis together.
Yes, I was in the Senate gallery, and then I think I transferred over to the House gallery where the people did that incredible protest.
Yes, I saw. and 19 people were arrested.
I know, that was crazy.
That is wild.
And like they committed.
Yeah, yeah, they did. They formed that chain link. But if you want to take
Yeah.
a second and gather some thoughts about that day, I know from the outside looking in that was very moving for me. So
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine what it was like being there.
I was really glad to have like my support people. I've been shadowing Emma Curtis. She's amazing.
Yes.
But I was kind of numb to it, and like in the mix of denial and acceptance, I'm like, oh, this didn't just happen, but I already had come to terms with it. The really impactful like gallery experience, I think, was I don't remember. Right before, like, I don't remember what day it was, but it was in between one of like the SB 150 or 470 meetings and the House bill for legalizing marijuana that passed directly afterwards. And I was very much like, okay, I was holding out hope this wasn't gonna happen. And I like broke down a little bit
Yeah, of course.
because all of a sudden, oh, this is real. This is really happening. Because I had seen these Republicans like show support for us.
Yeah,
I had seen them
exactly.
like be kind and express like, oh, I don't want to vote for this. Or one said, I'm not going to vote for this if it's in this form. But in the committee meeting is what he said, is that if this were a final vote, I would vote against it because I don't like these parts. But I'm going to vote yes anyways for this. And he voted for it in the end with with extra stuff in there, like the stuff that he had an issue with still in there.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, look at the backbone that these guys have.
It's none. Last episode, I looked at the camera and said that the people that passed it were cowards, and
Yeah.
most of them are. Most of them are exactly that.
They're all nice in the hallways, and then
To your face, yeah.
it's really, I have so little faith in our legislative process after this.
Yeah.
But also I've been more inspired than ever to be a part of it because there's people out there trying to change it, and I'm going to do everything I can to support them.
Exactly. Same here.
Yeah.
That's why we're here today. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. That I know I can't imagine what kind of emotional roller coaster that is. I had to leave the Capitol before it passed, but it passed as I was driving home, and I had to witness all of it on Twitter, and it was all very heartbreaking. And you know, I'm not sure if that also affects any of your younger sibling or not. Excuse me, but if it does also affect them, I am sorry to both of you. And our community will prevail. I said this last episode.
Yeah.
I know that both of us are doing stuff that is hopefully going to help. And a part of why we're sitting here talking is in hopes that we're going to change something by doing this, by talking about it, because we have to.
Yeah, that's been my viewpoint, is if this is the only thing that I can do, if the only thing that I can do is to share like my story and share what I've gone through and how this impacts me, then I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
if I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really out like at my school at all before this year. Like I wasn't hiding it, but I was
Of course,
like
yeah.
I wasn't being open about it. And since all this has gone down, now I'm very openly, like, I talk about what's going on with my friend in the hallways, and I'm vocal, and I feel like a completely different person than I was like 5 months ago. And that's crazy.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for being visible. I very much appreciate it. Coming as an older trans person that is over the age of 18, but also for anybody that's not able to be visible right now. Thank you very much. But so after, now we're post SB 150, at least passing of it and overturning and everything. But so post Senate Bill 150, are you still in the midst of navigating all of this? Along with every other Kentucky school district around here, because I know Fayette County hasn't really released a ton of guidance about it, and neither is Jefferson. And Jefferson kind of has, but it's not like super specific. And I'm assuming they're going to fine tune this over the summer because, school's almost over for most people. But I was just curious to know.
Yeah. I think it's bad timing for the schools. They're in the middle of of state testing and of
Everything.
APs, and it's kind of crazy. They have so much on their plates, and why are they having to worry about this non-issue?
Mm-hmm.
This has never been a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we making this a problem? In my school, and specifically my county hasn't, my school district hasn't come out with guidance
Mm-hmm.
over anything. I've still been using the restrooms I always have. And
The restroom that matches who you are.
yes, I will go around to every single restroom in the school if somebody's in them, and I will find one that is empty because I do not, this is not, I'm not going in there and showing up, I'm going in there to pee, and that is it. I only go there under emergencies. Trans kids aren't just, walking around showing off their genitals. That's not
Exactly, yeah.
something that's happening. Why are we so scared of this? I've never had any issues. I had a lot of anxiety over using the restroom when I first came out, and I ended up really sick and dehydrated because I wouldn't drink water because I was so scared of using the restroom at school. And that took me a long time to get comfortable with, and I'm still not completely, but I finally got over that fear, and it's so scary that now it's kind of pushing backwards, and I haven't been drinking. I've been struggling with my water intake. I've not drinking my coffee this morning because I don't know. I'm not.
I imagine it's nerve-wracking with the lack of guidance from the Kentucky Department of Education, and also
Yes.
the districts being confused and not really knowing what they should do. And
Yeah, this is a very vague bill. And can I see the text of it?
Sure. I printed out the text of Senate Bill 150 in case either one of us wanted to reference it, and it's been sitting between us this whole time. So Ray's going to take a look at it and see. A lot of it's very, very vague, but
So-
go for it.
One of the main clauses that pertains to school actually doesn't attacks not only sexuality and gender identity, but also sex ed, and limits all sex ed. Basically outright, in effect, bans it in any discussion, even pertaining to abstinence.
Yep. That's essentially, I also have the Kentucky Department of Education Section 2 guidance here. I printed out the wrong thing, but that's also basically what that says.
And the interesting thing is the KDE guidance, from what I can tell, it goes a step beyond what's outlined in SB 150 by.
I can't say I've read the full guidance for
Yes.
for them. I'm sure I'll
But
see it this week.
The wording in SB 150 is, first, children in grade 5 and below do not receive any instruction through curriculum or programs on human sexuality or sexually transmitted diseases, which is, how are we protecting kids?
Yeah, that's kind of what you. So I want to read this tweet that you said. Can I?
Yes, yes, yes.
do I
Go
have your
ahead, go
consent?
ahead.
I want to read this tweet from Ray, which, by the way, has gotten over 75,000 likes, which is astonishing. It says, "quote I am a child. I'm only 16. I go to school every day in order to learn, make friends, and thrive. Kentucky just made it illegal for me to use the bathroom in school. They are forcibly taking away my health care. I can no longer speak to a school counselor without explicit parental consent. How exactly am I being protected? How exactly am I expected to learn in an environment that won't even provide me with the simplest of human decencies?" And that in that moment, I thought of that tweet. And you're right. How can you learn like that? How can you be expected to be in a learning environment where you feel like you're being discriminated against and pushed down? You're not being allowed to be visible.
It's like my mental energy is sitting in class going towards calculating, okay, what's the best time to use the restroom? What's the best time that it'll be the most empty, and which one, like, oh, let's map out the school and figure out which one's less likely to have people in it. And that shouldn't be something I should be worrying about. That's not
No.
something that
You
any
should
of
be
my
worried about the next
like
test you have. You shouldn't be worried about.
my ACT test was one of the days that I went to Frankfurt, and I was sitting there during that test, and I was struggling to focus because all I was thinking about was this legislation, and why should that, as a 16-year-old, as a junior, why should that be something that I'm worrying about in school? Why am I not allowed to focus on my math or my reading? Why am I sitting here in my English class looking through the legislative guidance instead of what we're doing in English? I'm really sorry if English teacher, you're amazing.
I think they understand, but
and,
yeah.
and
You're right. You just want to be a kid.
I just want to be a kid.
You're 16. You're supposed to be worried about your next test and worried about what you're doing with friends later this week, not what meeting do I have this week? Do I have to go to
Yeah.
Frankfurt this week?
Oh, that's been crazy.
I can imagine your schedule's been all over the place the last few weeks, especially the last month.
Yeah, I started this year with like no extracurriculars really, and now I have all this commitment, which I'm not complaining about.
But you're allowed to.
Yeah.
You're allowed to.
I actually thought what I was gonna say. Sorry.
It's okay.
One of the things that really bothers me, is so in this bill they limit any instruction or presentation that has a goal or purpose of students studying or exploring gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation. And my initial interpretation was that only applies, okay, teachers can't say anything about it, which that kind of puts them in a bad spot. Because like I was speaking to an AP Psych teacher who half the content in that class falls under those guidelines, because that's just it's a fact of life. This is my
Exactly.
existence. This is who I am. And then I realized recently, after talking to a lawyer, or hearing someone mention this clause applies to what students can say as well. Because if I'm talking about like my experiences as a transgender individual in my English class, apparently my friends around me are experiencing a presentation on gender identity. And that's just me talking about me.
Yeah, you're just talking about yourself.
Why is that something that we're limiting? Why are we limiting what kids can say? Why are we limiting what they can hear? Because it's not in their best interests. And I kept hearing so much about parental rights this session, and then immediately afterwards, they're taking like my right to health care away out of the hands of me and my mom and my
Yeah.
parents. Like they're all for small government until the government is attacking somebody other than them.
Mm-hmm.
Until it doesn't affect them, then they're okay
That's how
with
it works
it.
in their eyes. Yeah.
And it's really scary because I didn't really see this coming.
Yeah, I can't say that a
I'm
lot
getting
of us.
off track.
No, it's
Sorry.
okay. No, I love hearing your point of view and hearing you talk about what you're passionate about. And the thing is, you're talking about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I only came out like next month. It'll be a year that I've officially been out as trans. I didn't see this coming from a mile away, and I have a friend that has been trans ever since we were in high school together, and the amount of bravery that it takes everybody in this community to have visibility and to just exist and wake up every day and function, adding all of this on top of what you already carry, I imagine is very difficult. And so I am sorry that you have to be here and that we have to talk about this. But thank you for being here and talking to me about this, because it's so important. And it is people your age. Not that there's a huge generational gap between us, because I'm only 22, but it's people your age that are going to change it for the ones following.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's more important. That's what the most important part of this is we're worried about you guys. I don't give a if we're worried about losing our gender affirming care. We're focused on the youth. I mean, I'm still to an extent considered youth as well, but we have got to be so visible and in people's faces that they are almost uncomfortable to do otherwise or to
Yeah.
have otherwise. They have to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Our community has been visible for so many years, and then now it's these bills in these states are being passed, and it's just our community's taking a hit, another hit, and it's exhausting.
Yeah. One of the things I've really seen that's comforting though is how much our community has come together, and how like we're having this conversation now,
Exactly. Yeah.
and we're like supporting each other, and I have more support now than I ever have.
Of course.
I'm so grateful for that, because
Got
I
to lift
think
each other up, for
we're
sure.
going through a hard time, but we're all gonna be here for each other, and I think that means so much.
Yes. I can say in good faith that that's keeping some of us here, for sure. I have a lot of friends in the trans community, and a lot of them are very much struggling, but I can tell you something is that us lifting each other up like this is something that makes them say, I can stay another day. I
Yeah.
can do it. I just got to push forward. Better days are coming. And they are. And we're going to keep going with that. Do you have anything to add before we close out here?
I would like to say that this wave of legislation that's really struck everyone recently is a last-ditch effort by people who know that they've already lost this culture war. They know that they are on the losing side of this fight, but their goal is to go out of the way to make it as hard as possible for us. And I know for a fact that it's going to get better, because I see everybody around me, and I see how strong they are and how we support each other and how much we're really coming together. And I have faith. I know that this is a battle that we are going to win. It's just the casualties in the meantime.
Yeah, that's going to be the hardest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But these legislators know that they don't have long left in their seats, and they're going to go out with a bang.
Yeah. A bang that's at the cost of other people's lives, for sure,
Yeah.
which is discouraging. I thought
Mhm.
they had a little more humanity left in them, but I'm not sure that they do.
Because it's really, it's not politics that we're talking about. It's people, and it's my friends, it's your friends, it's real like humans who are just trying to live, and
Same thing as everyone else.
who has the right to take that away from us?
Absolutely nobody. But they do have the power, unfortunately.
At the moment, they
just
have
at
the
moment,
power.
Just at the moment right
Yes,
now.
yes.
That's
That's
a
what I have to
good
keep
little
telling
reminder,
myself.
But it's honestly, with you, these last few episodes talking about all of this with my co-host Sam has just been very draining for me. But it's refreshing and also encouraging to have someone your age come in and give your own take. You guys have your own voices, you know? I'm not sure why not many people are giving you all the chance to take the microphone, but, you know, you deserve to tell your story whichever way you want to tell it. And you being here is a big deal. Do not let anyone ever downplay any of this. This is important, and you are loved. I love you as a human being. I think you are amazing. I think your courage at all these meetings we've been going to, all of these rallies and protests that we've been going to, I have no doubt that you're changing. If it's just one person's life, they're looking at you and saying, Ray's someone I look up to, and that's kind of cool. And you know, if it's not someone else, it's your younger sibling that is 100% impacted already by this. So, thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate your time. Do you have anything else to add?
Thank you for giving me the space to talk.
Of course. You'll always have it. Always.
It's been wonderful.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Queerly Thinking. This is my last episode of Season 2. I will see you for Season 3 next semester.